Ghostlight Lane, written by Laurence Parkin. A series of locks are undone. The front door is forced open by howling wind and driving rain, which bombards 6-year-old Zoe, who stands in the doorway. The elements blind her and blow over a collection of empty wine bottles nestled by the door. Zoe struggles and shuts out the weather before wiping the rain from her eyes. Great. She tries to wipe the water off and looks at the mess. She sighs with frustration before stepping over it. A yellow raincoat is pulled from its hanger by small hands. Matching wellies are lifted from the shoe rack. Zoe just needs an umbrella. There are several in the umbrella stand, but none of them are hers. She runs between rooms looking for it. The voices of Mum and Dad become discernible and only get louder. They're arguing. Zoe searches faster. Listen.
This is exactly what I mean.
What do you mean?
What
That's
makes you
what
think
you
I
mean?
even want you here?
You think I'm acting,
making my life
I'm the only
hell.
one here who's being
You're
an
always
actual
like this.
parent. Forget the umbrella. Zoe pulls up her hood and grabs Ollie, her toy owl, before making for the door. She grabs a sandwich bag from the kitchen. The door is pulled shut, leaving Zoe in the rain and evening light. The silhouettes of the arguing Mum and Dad can be seen through the net curtains. It's a nice house, but not while they're in it. In Zoe's collar is Ollie, tucked under her chin. He's wearing the sandwich bag on his head like a hood. Zoe marches out of the garden and leaves the gate open. Zoe guards her and Ollie's faces from the downpour as she wanders the suburban streets. Cut to a series of shots. Rain-battered cars, windows, knocked-over bins, a car creeping by, drains overflowing, a cat hides under a van, and Zoe braving the elements alone. A colourful but faded hopscotch is smeared by the intense rain. Zoe hops along it, doing a full turn as she does. She lets out a small, fleeting smile. Further ahead, a large puddle. Deep breath, Ollie! She takes a running jump into the puddle, making the ultimate splash. An approaching driver has the same idea, and sprays the pavement as he drives through the puddle. Zoe swiftly waddles to safety, but lets out a small excited scream. The street is running out of houses. The road crests before descending into a valley. Zoe takes in the weather-obscured vista and presses on. Cut to a series of shots. Runoff rushes down the hill. The trees overhead withstand the torrent. Zoe's careful steps become strides as she gains momentum, before she realises she's going at full speed down the hill, soaking Ollie. Before Zoe fully loses control, the road flattens out again. She's reached the bottom of the dimly lit valley. Zoe arrives at the corner of the crossroads, and waits patiently under an unlit streetlight as she looks for traffic. Okay, Ollie, which way do we go? Zoe holds the tips of Ollie's wings and flaps them as she says, Ooh, what would your mum say? Zoe sighs. She just want me to go back home. She's no fun. Which way looks like fun, Ollie? She looks around at her options. The streetlight above flickers into life, stealing Zoe's attention momentarily. It occasionally bathes the area in a warm yellow glow as it struggles to stay lit. Zoe smacks the post in an attempt to fix it. Nothing. Irritating. She tries to ignore it, but it stopped flickering from yellow to black. Now, it's yellow to a cold blue. A single car drives past. The streetlight settles on blue. It glows brighter and brighter, buzzes louder and louder. Zoe's shadow flutters energetically about the pavement and grows, stretching across the road. The light isn't getting more intense. It's getting closer. The light fades to a soft glow, an orb of blue, a will-o'-the-wisp. It hovers above Zoe. She looks up at it and sees it dancing in the air, just like a bee would. Huh? Get out of here, fly! Zoe swats at the wisp, but it gracefully evades her hand and circles around her, then continues dancing right in front of her. Go away! She violently clasps it between her hands. Blue particles scatter as she does. She opens her palms to see the dead light, but there's nothing there. A sad sight. 5 smaller wisps form in the air around her and rejoin into the singular wisp. It settles onto Zoe's finger. How did you do that? How many of you are there? Zoe tries to get a closer look at the wisp, but it takes off and dances across the road. Zoe checks the traffic before following. It moves faster, and Zoe gives chase. Soon it ducks between the beams of a wooden field gate and into a copse. Zoe fumbles her way through the adjacent kissing gate in pursuit, kissing the top of Ollie's head as she does. Wide angle. A singular ghostly light of the wisp races from left to right through the unlit copse. Zoe follows it, past thicket and tree. The wisp approaches a beck and starts to circle over the water, dancing with its reflection. Zoe catches up. The wisp freezes in the air. She stares at it. It doesn't have eyes, but Zoe can feel it staring back.
Why did you go over there? Okay, if I just...
Zoe takes one step forward. The wisp darts directly into the water.
No, 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 no!
Zoe runs closer. The wisp is floating on the surface of the beck and is being thrown around by the splashes of rain. She reaches the edge, but it doesn't look like the wisp anymore. It's just the reflection of the moon. The wisp is gone.
No, no, come back! Don't die! Don't die!
High-angle shot aimed at Zoe's reflection. Zoe starts to get choked up on her tears. She tucks her face into Ollie for comfort, and she begins to cry. A number of moons start to encroach on the reflected night sky.
Huh?
The camera descends through the water's reflection. A dozen wisps are lightly hovering around her. One is perched on her shoulder. Afraid to scare it off, Zoe stays still and lightly strokes it. A smile starts to form on her face. She sits cross-legged and puts her palms out. They all sit in her hands. A happy smile pushes the sadness away. The wisps slowly float up and begin drifting away in lazy unison towards the clearing in the woods. Zoe follows. Wisps meander from flower to flower, making them open and bloom with a luminous, ghostly blue. The wisps swirl around Zoe, causing a light gust before floating ahead. She has to hold her hood to stop it from blowing down. The wisps enter a ring formation and spin like a wheel. Zoe feels slightly intimidated by their synchronicity and stops still. They expand and contract in an unearthly harmony and drift no further. The wisps tip over onto the leafy woodland ground in a perfect circle. They sink into the earth, and in the place of their dying light, 12 large mushrooms grow. They push the overlying leaves aside as they emerge, and pulse with a gentle blue light. It's a fairy ring. Zoe shuffles into the centre of the fairy ring and looks to the sky above. She takes her hood down. It's not raining, at least it isn't raining in the fairy ring. She takes the sandwich bag off of Ollie's head. Zoe sits on the floor again and presses down on the mushroom caps. As she does, it glows brighter momentarily. She presses another, and another. They all glow intensely for a single moment before their lights die out almost completely. Zoe tries to press the caps again, but nothing. From the trees comes a low-pitched humming, and another ghostly light. A light more intense than any of the wisps so far. It wobbles towards Zoe, but its hum is accompanied by a discordant, wordless singing. Zoe stands against the incoming wisp.
Wow! You're a big firefly!
Hello? The wisp stops.
Hi, I'm not scary. Or scared of you.
I imagine not. The rain starts to die down. The large wisp comes closer. It's not independent like the others. It's being held in a lantern post-like staff, and it's being carried by a squat, grotesque and hairy man with a hunched back. The voice belongs to him. Patches, a bugbear. On his back is an enormous backpack containing all sorts of junk. His presence makes Zoe feel uncomfortable. Late night, terrible weather, and alone? You must not be scared by much then. Patches pitches his lantern staff like a flag and pulls the bag from his back. Zoe is frozen in place. She is scared, and she's trying her best to hide it. Ah, this is nice. My feet are killing me. You would not believe how heavy my bag is.
Who are you?
The bugbear pulls his bag over and starts rummaging through it, half paying attention. I'm me, silly.
That's not an answer. Who are you?
The bugbear pulls a TV remote out of his bag and removes the batteries curiously. He holds them up in the light. Zoe takes a cautious step closer, without leaving the safety of the fairy ring.
Who are you?
For pity's sake, girl, just stop asking! The bugbear keeps the batteries, but throws away the remote. He sighs and glances at Zoe. She's not leaving, and it's bothering him. He clicks his fingers repeatedly, trying to remember. Wait, what was that thing you called me?
I didn't call you anything.
Don't play games, girl. I hate games. The bugbear looks back in his bag.
I can think of plenty of things to call you.
Yeah? Like what?
Like freak?
The bugbear stops looking in his bag. Instead, he looks offended. Whoa, whoa! There's no need for that! You're hurting my feelings!
Or monster?
The bugbear clutches at his heart.
Monster? Creature?
At least try to be nice. No respect. The bugbear rolls his eyes and looks back in his bag. Zoe turns her attention to the large wisp.
You shouldn't have it locked up like that.
Maybe you shouldn't have an owl shoved down your jacket, but you don't see me complaining. Besides, the wisp doesn't mind. Gotta have a mind if you're gonna mind, if you get me. I see you've met a few yourself.
I thought they were fireflies.
That's it! You called me Firefly!
Not you, stupid. The wasp.
Fireflies? Quite endearing, really. Makes them sound a whole lot nicer than they really are.
You want me to call you Firefly?
Nah, it's a rubbish name. You can call me Patches. Zoe giggles. What? I'll have you know that Patches is a respected name where I'm from.
Patches is a dog's name.
That's really rude. You're an unbelievably rude young lady, you know that?
My name's Zoe, but with like 2 dots on the E.
Who cares? You're mean. Go home, meanie.
Patches keeps looking in his bag.
Zoe looks around. She looks sad.
I don't want to.
Patches stops exploring in his bag and turns to Zoe. What do you mean you don't? Your parents must be missing you.
I don't care.
You really are fearless. Patches tries to ignore her, but his empathy overwhelms him. He fishes out a coin from his pocket. Penny for your thoughts? He tosses the coin at Zoe, who catches it. It's a 15th century English groat.
This isn't a penny. It's not even a chocolate one.
Do you like being impossible? 'Cause you're pretty good at it.
You sound like my mum.
Thankfully, I'm not. I'm what you lot would call a boggart. I prefer bugbear myself. Makes me sound a bit nicer.
My dad says I shouldn't go near bigots. Or bears. You don't look like a bear.
A boggart, silly, not a bigot. And I'm definitely not a bear. I'm a bugbear.
I thought a bugbear was a thing people didn't like.
Yeah, people would say that. Given my hobby. Patches points at his bag.
Hobby? Like golf?
No. But I've got some golf stuff in there, I think. And other things too.
What kind of things?
Just things. Listen, we're getting off track. You said you didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
Patches produces a folding camping chair from his bag and passes it to Zoe. She doesn't set foot outside the ring, then starts setting up the chair in the middle of it. What's so bad about home, eh? Zoe, still setting up the chair.
Lots of things.
But things are the best part of any home. You've got toys, pillows, eggs, and lots of keys. Zoe removes Ollie from her jacket and sits in the chair. She looks into Ollie's eyes.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean my mum. And my dad.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know so much about those things. Patches feels his way through his bag as he faces Zoe, listening.
My mum told me that when I was little...
Well, you're still little? Zoe glares daggers at Patches.
I'm not little. I'm going to be 7 in 12th days.
Patches smiles and lightly shakes his head.
When I was little, my mum told me that my dad couldn't live with us anymore.
Solemnity fills the air.
She said that he was really mean to her, and that he had to go.
He hurt her?
She said he made her cry.
What did he do, if you don't mind me asking? Zoe shrugs and starts rapidly tapping on the arm of the chair. A nervous twitch. The rain returns, which distracts Patches.
They shout at each other a lot. If they're not shouting, they're just quiet. It got really bad, so Dad left for a week. He said that he was staying with Pete, but Mum cried the whole time. Even when he came back, she was still sad.
That's a... what's the word?
Shame.
That's a shame. Zoe stops tapping and looks over to Patches. He's wedged his top half into his bag as he rummages.
Are you even listening?
Patches emerges with a stick umbrella. It looks like a frog. He pops it open.
That looks like my umbrella.
Oh, really? Maybe we can compare.
No, mine is gone. It wasn't in the place where all the umbrellas go.
Patches looks a bit guilty. Maybe you should have it back then. Patches passes Zoe her umbrella.
But it's not mine.
I'm pretty sure it is.
You took it, and now I'm giving it back.
It must be going soft. Who's ever heard of a soft bugbear? A charitable bugbear, even?
Stealing is wrong.
Yeah, but I'm giving it back. So technically... I was just borrowing it. Zoe looks up into the sky. She's free from rain, but can't help feeling for the damp bugbear. She holds it back out to him.
Keep it.
But it's yours.
But you're getting wet.
Patches accepts it with a smile and protects himself from the rain. Zoe looks at the bag.
Do you have any wine in there?
A bit young for that, aren't you?
It's not for me, silly. My mum always has some when she's sad. There's empty ones by the front door.
Ooh, she must be sad a lot then.
Well, she usually drinks it with Emily and Valerie. But they haven't visited in a while.
Zoe leans back in her deck chair and sits Ollie on her lap. The tapping resumes.
Yeah. Dad doesn't live with us anymore. I used to spend a load of time with him last year. Now I only get to see him every 2 weeks.
Only every other week?
But I like being with my dad. We go places, and he lets me stay up past my bedtime. We went to watch Jack and the Beanstalk on Sunday.
I always felt bad for that giant.
But when I'm at home, I'm at home. My mum is always watching the TV, and she won't let me go to any of my friends' houses.
Have you ever thought about sneaking off?
No, that wouldn't be allowed.
Well, you're doing it right now, aren't you?
No.
But you are, though.
You said you have lots of things in your bag. Do you have anything that can fix my mum and dad?
Got to say, this sounds too delicate to take a hammer to. And there's just no plaster big enough. But I can tell you now that they're both missing you.
Yeah, and how would you know?
Oh boy. This could be a bit tricky to explain. Patches scratches at his head and sighs. He trudges over to his wisp lantern staff, reaches up on his toes and unlatches the door. He pulls the wisp out with both hands, the open umbrella resting over his shoulder. Here. Zoe rises from her chair and puts Ollie in her jacket pocket. Patches holds out the wisp to her. It's the size of a beach ball.
Is it friendly?
Everything can be friendly. This one, just less so than others. He drops the wisp into Zoe's arms. It's resoundingly lightweight.
It's a bit cold.
Patches, returning to his stool. They tend to be, kid. Tell me. Both your mum and your dad want you to live with them, yeah? And do they talk to each other without you?
Not really.
Then it sounds like they're only there fighting because they care. About you. Zoe, stroking the wisp.
But I don't like it when they argue.
Does anybody? Listen, kid, they both need you. Your mum especially, from the sound of things. But it's gonna be hard.
It's hard already.
Patches rising from his stool. I can believe it. I'll tell you what. Let's get you home before they get even more worried. I'll let you keep hold of the wisp. Patches approaches Zoe and pulls up her hood. Holding his empty lantern staff, Patches and Zoe emerge from the entrance to the copse. Ollie is tucked back into the top of Zoe's raincoat, sandwich bag on. They both hold the umbrella between them, and Zoe is holding the wisp. Zoe, pointing at the crossroads.
That way.
They start walking in the direction of home. Are you any good at sports?
I'm a fast runner. I can even beat the boys.
Okay, perfect. Imagine your parents are having a running race, and you're at the finish line, and the winner gets, I don't know, your soul, I guess.
My soul?
Let's say your dad is running as hard as he can to reach you first. He's trying his very best to beat your mum, by doing everything he can. Zoe silently pets the wisp. She's shrugging, so she can rest her chin on Ollie for comfort. But your mum, she isn't playing fair. She's trying to keep you to herself. She doesn't want to race at all. Even if he wins, she won't just give you up. Zoe, tearing up.
So, I'm just some prize to them,
if you like. Zoe lets go of Patch's hand and squeezes the wisp hard with both arms, her face buried in Ollie. Patches can't help feeling bad. He stops walking. Here's the catch, though. There's no finish line. Zoe has overtaken him. She stops too. She's standing on the corner looking confused. The rain begins to die. Patches steps off the pavement into the centre of the crossroads. I'd ask you to imagine that we're at a crossroads, but it seems we already are. A number of wisps emerge from seemingly nowhere and dance above the street. They catch Zoe's eye, and she looks up in amazement between sobs. Your parents want you to believe that you've only got 2 choices. The wisps form 2 avatars, each standing at one of the turnings. The road names have changed. One is labelled Mum, and the opposite, Dad. You've got Mum, and you've got Dad. Of course, they both want you to choose them. Zoe looks at both exits, unhappy with either.
But I don't want to choose. Everyone else has a mum and dad. Why can't I?
Exactly! Patches steps aside, revealing the road behind him. The road sign says, "Continue." If you don't want to choose, you can just keep going. Do you know where that road leads?
To school?
No, you're not.
But it does. Town is that way too.
That road leads nowhere. You'll just end up. Patches walks backwards up the street, only to emerge from the street that they just came from. A spatial loop. Back here. As long as you don't choose, you'll stay right here, at this crossroads. And they'll keep waiting, just waiting for you to choose. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with not choosing. It's like someone telling you could only eat pickled egg sandwiches all your life, but you don't want to stop having smoked eel sarnies.
That's gross. Is that it then? Mum or dad?
And mum and dad, but not in the good way. There is one more option.
Okay.
You can choose you.
What? Why would I choose me? I can't be my own mum or dad.
No, but you can do what you want to do, like you did when you wandered here earlier.
But wouldn't that mean that I don't get to have
either of my parents?
No. I'm making this sound a lot more final and dramatic than I'm meaning to. Turning around doesn't mean that you have to say goodbye to both. Neither does choosing either of them. By turning around, you just say that there is no winner. You're no prize, just like you wanted. But if you do, you'll have to grow up fast. And without them. It's a tall order for a 6-year-old. Or any year-old, for that matter. I'd say that's probably the hardest option. So I just have to choose.
More or less. Patches taps his lantern staff twice on the road. All the wisps floating overhead rush into the lantern, forming another large wisp. No rush, though. You've got your whole life to figure it out, essentially. One day, you'll have to choose. Car lights emerge from the darkness as it approaches the crossroads. The road signs have returned to normal. Patches shepherds Zoe across the road and continues the walk home.
You seem to know a lot about these things, for someone who said that they didn't.
Dear, you're forgetting that I'm a bugbear. Sitting in a load of houses is kind of my thing. I've seen a fair number of kids in your position.
And which way did they choose?
They each chose their own way. Just like you have to.
So which way did you choose?
Patches pauses for a moment, stunned slightly. Me? I'm in my own shoes. But you could say that life chose for me. Believe me, it was messy.
I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about it?
Maybe another time. You know where to find me. They walk silently for a moment before Zoe holds out the wisp to Patches. Don't you want it anymore? Zoe shakes her head.
It's okay. I've got Ollie. I like the wasp, but it's a bit itchy. Is it supposed to be itchy?
Patches, taking the wisp. Cripes, you've definitely been holding on to it for too long. Patches tucks the wisp under his arm. Zoe fiddles with Ollie.
Why? Will I get sick? I hope I get sick. I get to stay off school then.
You just love trouble, don't you? Zoe shrugs and smiles.
Thanks, Patches.
No problem. I'm serious, by the way. You should have this back. He hands her the open umbrella, then throws the wisp high up into the air. It splinters apart into hundreds of smaller wisps, creating a vortex overhead. But let me tell you, Zoe, if you don't feel ready to choose right now, you shouldn't. One day you'll have to, and you'll know which way to go when you get there. Of course, if you don't, someone will choose for you. And it should never come to that. It's your life. The wisps cascade around them and starts to cluster in, with Zoe at their core. The wisps will get you and your owl back home.
Thanks, Patches. Ollie says thanks too. For a thief and a bugbear, you're good.
The wisps glow with more intensity. They block out the surroundings and the rain. Patches cracks a warm smile.
Even if you have a dog's name.
Fade to white. End. Nothing on 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7. 8's fine, 9's fine. I think we might just be okay up to where we are. I basically just rewrote the beginning. Okay, excellent. Oh, that's the wrong way around. Page 14, don't be a rebel. Oh, no, it's up to page Oh my god. Oh Jesus, it's completely losing order. Anarchy is taking hold. It's fixed. They're all back in the right order. This is why you need to staple the corner of your documents, people, because otherwise you're going to lose where the heck 20 pages are. Okay. I'm Zoe. What? He's go, what? 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 I can't say what. Ah! That's really rude. Rude. That's really rude. Rude. Why can't I do this line? That's really rude. I've seen a fair number of kids in your position. Your position? Oh, tarnation.